Here's some more videos of the best of the Fittest Flat Earther, but I do have to say beforehand that he does believe in the depths of Satan. Like, you can manifest reality how you want, kind of like Bobby Connor was told to manifest a squirrel, but it was just like Christ told to turn a rock into an actual loaf of bread when he was being tempted in the desert. So you can't do all that stuff. It's actually against the Lord. But he also believes that the mountains were actually formed from giants, that they're dragons, all this stuff, which might be a controlled opposition or a gatekeeper, because they put a little bit of truth or real cheese in a mousetrap, and then you're supposed to actually get the truth and then spit out the lies.
Hello, my friends. Let me start off by saying, boy, do I have an interesting video for you guys. And as always, I'm going to give some of it to the general public, but I'm going to try to give it to you guys ahead of time and also give you a little bit more detail, because a video like this, they tend to censor, especially on some specific apps, if you know what I mean. Before I get fully into it, though, I just want to always express my sincere gratitude and appreciation for you guys. Gaining a subscriber following has allowed me to just put my attention to this full time and continue to expose all the lies I can uncover, and literally just focus on this and not stress about finding a 9-to-5 or a supplemental job. The subscriber base I have gained is just like, could literally bring me to tears, how much appreciation I have for it. So I just thank you from the bottom of my heart. And if you could just continue month to month, it would mean the world to me. So thank you, and on with the show. If you guys are new to this subscription, I highly recommend you go back and you find my 10-minute video on Kobe. Okay. Kobe and his daughter Gigi supposedly perished in a helicopter crash. But it wasn't just them that supposedly died. Oh no, there were a bunch of other people in there. And well, I've done videos on Kobe, and I've done videos on his daughter Gigi. This one, I'm turning my attention to these two. But like I said, if you haven't seen my videos on how Gigi Bryant became Angel Reese and now Kobe somehow is intertwined with Myles Garrett, I mean, you can just see it. And if you don't know Myles Garrett, he was the NFL Defensive Player MVP a couple years ago. He's a stud. Somehow, he's Kobe. I don't know exactly how they do it. I don't know if there is a real Myles Garrett and he fills in sometimes for interviews or whatnot, but it's happening. Go watch the videos. It's hard to deny when you watch the videos. I know it sounds crazy without watching them. All right, let's turn our attention to these three. These three supposedly also perished in that same helicopter crash that Kobe did. They're the Altobelli family, and this is Carrie, and this is John, and this is Alyssa. And I couldn't sleep last night, and I went into my subscription area, and I saw someone message me, someone whose son played in the league that Alyssa and Gigi played in. And well, he had a suspicious theory about her. He said he couldn't help but think that maybe Alyssa turned into the very, very well-known WNBA player, Caitlin Clark. And well, it didn't take me long to prove him absolutely correct. And I'll get to the proof in a minute, but what I want to show you is it's not just one of them that is involved with Caitlin Clark. I fully believe that Alyssa turned into Caitlin, and Alyssa's parents turned into Caitlin's parents. Now, I've already done videos on Caitlin. I knew that somehow, someway, she wasn't organically created and brought up into the NBA with her name Caitlin Clark, that is CC, which turns to 33, and when she's at the football game with Taylor Swift literally giving devil horns, I knew there was something more to her story. And if it weren't for my lovely subscriber, I don't know if I would have ever figured this one out. But let me go on to just give you the evidence, because at this point you might just be thinking I'm out of my mind and they don't even really look that much alike. Well, they do, and there's evidence beyond evidence. First, let's just quickly look at the fathers. I mean, if those guys don't look like they could just be the exact same person, I mean, come on. But this video, it's more about Alyssa and Caitlyn. And here she is with Gigi, who turned into Angel Reese, the WNBA superstar, along with Caitlin Clark, the other WNBA superstar. Here they are again, just bestest pals, and here they are as their current day selves. But like I said, let's just get into the evidence that's really hard to deny. Oh, and of course they had to take these pictures again as well. I bet if I look real hard, I can find... In fact, I'm going to go see if I can find them doing that as the little kids. Alright, so it's darn close.
No, wait. I remember the Caitlin Clark had an actual commercial from Nike called Logo Mamba.
We are in for a show.
They're literally the serpent seed. The whole point of twins is the Antichrist twin mocking Jesus. And then go see the Michael J. Fox wolf video that is also in later on in this video. And also, the enemy has all of these rituals that he does, including Caitlin Clark, that connects to everything else. And so here's my full decode that I had done on July 16th. I'm going to kind of scroll through it, but it talks about Caitlin Clark and being trans. I thought Caitlin Clark kind of looked kind of masculine, but it might be that they were taking like steroids or, hormones and stuff like that to make them look different. And also, performance.
But like I said, let's get to the just straight up smoking guns. First, the symmetry is just dead on. I feel like she probably was given hormones because she took on a little bit more masculine look. And well, they didn't even remove this one. The most obvious mark on her face, they didn't get rid of. I think most of the time they try to cover it up with makeup because she doesn't always have that. But guys, there's more. The teeth. This is a little bit blurry picture, but the teeth are literally the exact same. Exact. But here's the part I think you just can't deny because it is so perfectly placed. Perfectly placed. That the odds of all that and the symmetry and the parents and everything, it's just, come on. I do have to say though, for as much as I feel like I have nailed these people and these fakers and these liars, I'm not 100% sure how they do it, because if you look, there is some evidence that she existed playing high school basketball as her, not as her. And it's the same thing with Kobe and Myles Garrett. So I don't know what they do. I don't know how they do it, but I know it's going on. I know they're faking deaths, and I know they're taking on new roles, 100%. If it happens in the music world with all these musicians like Jimi Hendrix and Kurt Cobain and Jim Morrison and all of them faking their death and coming back as someone else, it's most certainly happening in the athletic world. Certainly is. But just because I don't know exactly how they do it doesn't mean it's not happening. And I hope you can wrap your mind around that as well. Because one thing I'm not is a liar. And one thing I'm not is someone who is just looking for views and clicks and likes. I'm trying to expose the people in the world that lie to us, the people in the world on the TV that lie to us, because that's all the TV is it's programming. It's programming our minds to not understand who we are and where we are. And the reason I do what I do is because for 42 years, I didn't believe in God because I believed what the TV said, and I believed what the school books said, and I believed what the lying scientists said. And all that information that they gave me made it really hard to believe that there was this entity or God, or that the Bible was true, and because I believed in evolution and all the nonsense with dinosaurs and the Big Bang and yada 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 and infinite space and infinite galaxies. And the bottom line is, I do this because I found God through the lies, and I just want other people to find God and have a relationship with God like I do. Are celebrities like Michael J. Fox and others faking ailments and diseases to hide the truth from you about something else? If you don't know Michael, he was huge in the 80s in movies like Teen Wolf and Back to the Future. And well, he supposedly has Parkinson's. And not only does he think having Parkinson's is funny,
every day you suffer. But that's the way it is. I mean, who do I see about that?
thinks that's pretty funny. Who do I see about that? That's funny, Michael. That's real funny. And not only does he think it's funny, but he can turn it on and off.
I can make myself still, but I won't be as animated.
Show me what happens if you make yourself still, as he showed us 6 years ago.
Now, before you're completely offended and swipe away, I want you to hear a little story about Stevie Wonder, and then we'll get back to Michael J. Fox.
You think Stevie Wonder can see?
Listen.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? That's the craziest thing ever.
I'm saying we lived in a building together on Wilshire Boulevard.
Wait, all right. You lived in a building with Stevie?
With Stevie, okay?
Oh,
You used to have to drive to the bottom, underneath, to park your car.
Uh-huh.
I'm coming to the first floor that day. It goes down, because when I got in, I didn't press the button. So it went down first. Stevie got in. I'm standing in the corner. I didn't say nothing. And he looked over and he's like, "What up, Big Diesel?" And he turned his head, hit his button, and got off.
Come on.
I'm telling you what happened. I don't know if I was...
Okay, now back to Michael. Now, why in the world would they ever fake some sort of ailment as terrible as Parkinson's? Hey, wait a minute. That's not Michael J. Fox. That's Scott Wolf. You know, the actor Scott Wolf, who looks almost identical to Michael J. Fox. He was in A Party of Five, if you remember back to those days. Yeah, that's Michael J. Fox and that's Scott Wolf. And you know what's funny about the Scott Wolf thing? I found this so funny. Michael J. Fox was in Teen Wolf. And you know what his name was in Teen Wolf? Scott. Scott Howard. Scott in Teen Wolf. Scott Wolf. Imagine that, and they look so similar. It must just be a coincidence. You know what else must be a coincidence? How similar Scott Wolf and Michael J. Fox move. I mean, it must just be one of those things you just chalk up to coincidence and say, so what? So they look similar, almost exact, and make the same mannerisms and the same stupid faces. Who cares? So they have the same hairline and shrug their shoulders the same and move their hands the same. And his name is Scott Wolf, and he played Scott in a movie called Teen Wolf. So what? So what? So what? It's not like they're the same person and they're using his Parkinson's as an excuse to think there's no way that he could ever be this person because he's moving around all crazy. Like, even though he can stop it on a dime like I showed you. And so they have the exact symmetry to their faces. And I mean, this nose even looks fake. And like he's got a little bit of like extra, I don't know, latex there. And maybe a set of fake teeth. Those sure look like pearly whites. And boy, it's just funny how they happen to have Fox there as well. One of those coincidences again. Imagine that. Oh, and look how their noses are angled the same. But what am I talking about? This is just silly talk. They would never have an actor play another actor because, I mean, that's not what actors do. They don't play other people. Maybe they're just doing it on a higher level than you realize. And maybe there's fewer of them than you think. And those few of them play a lot of people. So it gives the illusion of a very large crowd of people that you could never control. And you can never give them missions and assignments to literally mind control the masses. No, that can't be it. And they definitely wouldn't do it to distort your reality so much that you can look at the sun going across the sky and think that you're spinning 1,000 miles per hour backwards and that you don't trust your senses. And if you can see these people and think they're different people, well, that distorts your senses too. But what am I talking about? That's all just a joke and satire, and I make this stuff and I... So you really think Bob Marley died of melanoma? You sure about that? Well, do you know who that is? Do you have any idea? And if you don't, let me tell you, that's Nelson Mandela. And while you might not see the resemblance here, maybe you can see it here and how perfectly their faces line up. And yes, of course, we are all darker or lighter during different times of the year, depending on our exposure to the sun. And if that side-by-side wasn't doing it for you, how about this one, where everything lines up absolutely perfect down to their hairline. And yes, their noses are off just slightly, but that's only because one is a little leaning back and the other is a little straight forward. And again, perfectly aligned everywhere, other than he's just smiling a little bigger. And if this still doesn't do it for you, well, you know I always come packing heat. Because while some of you think sometimes I'm reaching, bro, I know what's true. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 3. Perfect little triangle of marks. And let's see who they belong to. Would you imagine that? And of course, that's not it. There's always more. 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2, 3. And a little scar there, and a little scar there, and a mark there, and a mark there, and a mark there, and a fainter one because they probably removed it so you wouldn't know as well as I know. Now again, let's see who these belong to. And let's watch it line up perfectly again. And well, if you're still not sold, why don't we take a look at their timelines? Don't you think it's funny how Nelson Mandela spent time in jail from 62 all the way down till 1990? I wonder when Bob Marley was performing his music. From 65 till 80. Would you imagine that? The exact time frame that Mandela was supposedly in prison. Do you ever think maybe these people that are in the limelight that they tell you are going to prison aren't really going to prison? Like people who don't pay their taxes. They lie to you about that, so you pay your taxes still. You guys know me. This is all for entertainment, and I just create these because they're fun, and I don't really care about exposing all the evil in Hollywood, in the government, and apparently even in the truther world. Entertainment only. And have you heard that crazy conspiracy theory that Kobe is Myles Garrett? Hey, that's a funny hat he's wearing. Or how Elvis is Don L. or Donald. Or the recent one I did, how Christopher Reeves is Brandon Routh. Or how former NFL player Pat Tillman is now CrossFit star Josh Bridges. But these are just crazy conspiracy theories because Kobe would be 46 now. There's no way he could be leading the NFL in sacks, or Christopher Reeves would be like 70. He can't be parading around as a younger guy, or, Elvis would be 90. How could he be leading the country? And well, let's start with this one right here. Pat Tillman and Josh Bridges. Pat Tillman, who turned down $3.6 million football offer, and Josh Bridges, who just happened to be number 36 in the CrossFit Games. Josh Bridges, who even 10 years ago, when he was supposed to be 34, I couldn't help but notice how his skin looked like it had plastic surgery or Botox, or there's something going on there that just didn't seem right to me. And like I said, just about every single day, people say that my conspiracy theories are stupid because these people would be so old. Well, have you ever heard of med beds? That's right, I said med beds. And some of you might think they're just some conspiratorial thing out there, and some of you may have never heard of a med bed. You know, med beds, the one that Google even talks about, Tesla med beds, and how they can heal and rejuvenate, stimulate the body's natural healing process by using frequencies and different things. Well, I wonder if there's any evidence of any of them using a med bed.
Nah, I just lay in a chamber, get put in a little depth. A little dive chamber. And
are you ready? So he's breathing 100% oxygen in a pressurized environment. So two things happen. We increase the partial pressure of oxygen. So at depth, he's actually breathing more than 100% oxygen. And we're able to dissolve oxygen into the fluid of his body, as opposed to just getting carried by the hemoglobin and red blood cells.
So the guy who I'm saying looks exactly like Pat Tillman, down to the same backwards hat and the exact same mannerisms, and even facial markings that I'll show you in a second. Who, don't forget, wore number 36 when Pat was offered $3.6 million and has the exact same pose and same face. And I'll just let this version of me talk about it. Yeah, whatever I'm saying. But here's the most important part, is this right here. His exact same scar in the exact same place on both of them. So all of that, and then he just happens to also get in a hyperbaric chamber, which could be a med bed. I'll show you that it's probably more than a hyperbaric chamber.
The system that we're looking at is the Tesla MedBed system. Now, this is a system that has a multitude of different technologies, and we're going to go through those. We've got Angie with the sleep system. So right now, we're running 432 hertz into the body.
Healing
that
frequencies.
Is a set of speakers that are basically underneath the cushion. She's laying on a cushion in the hyperbaric, and it's a set of speakers that are literally running that sound vibration through the body. As somebody who has done this technology, it literally is vibrating all the impurities out of the body. It's sending energy into the body through that sound sleep. And now we've also got grounding. So if you can see here, all those threads, it's a little hard there because of the lighting, but that's all silver thread. So that's grounding. So in addition to the sound sleep, in addition to the hyperbaric, in addition to grounding, we're also running PEMF. And the PEMF is being run through the plasma development. So the plasma technology right here, that's a plasma machine. This has basically a cable that comes out and goes in and connects into the blanket. So you have 2,500 frequencies, rejuvenation, helping regrow telomeres on your DNA. Any and all health related things are in there right now. With Angie, we're running the lymphatic system. So she's getting frequencies right now for the lymphatic system.
So next time you come at me with, they're so old, it couldn't be, you're a freaking moron. They'd be 90, they'd be 70, they'd be 40. He couldn't lead the NFL in sacks. Well, that's your small mind, not realizing that they have technology. They just don't tell us about it. But they're slowly releasing it back to us. And don't you dare get in the comments about any of these people until you go watch those videos and see how every one of them has smoking gun birthmarks. But of course, this is all for entertainment purposes. I create these videos to entertain you all with speculation and satire. I'm not at all here trying to expose these Luciferian following, Lucifer himself, following individuals who have infiltrated every single aspect of our lives. Especially, do you remember this scene from Dumb and Dumber?
Huh.
expected the Rocky Mountains to be a little rockier than this.
I was thinking the same thing. That John Denver's full of shit, man.
At the time of that movie, I didn't even know what that meant because I had no idea who John Denver was. And then I figured out it was about his song Rocky Mountain High. And then fast forward another 30 years, and I figured out that they like to tell us the truth in movies. And well, I think there's a little bit more to John Denver being full of shit, man, than what they're just saying about the Rockies. Let's look. John Denver was known for his love of nature and animals. You know who else loved nature and animals? This guy, Steve Irwin, the crocodile hunter. Do you remember him? You know, this guy. Well, John Denver supposedly died in 1997. Right around the time Steve Irwin, the crocodile hunter, the late 90s, got famous. And well, I don't even think I really have to say much to tell you they resemble each other an awful lot, don't they? And boy, would you imagine that? Their faces just happen to be extremely symmetrical. Let's say you just performed a little eye surgery and made your eyes a little bigger. It'd be a dead ringer, wouldn't it? And you know what is also funny? That John Denver had a wife. And well, she looked like that. And the crocodile hunter's wife looked like that. And what happens when you put them next to each other? Wow. Their wives almost look like they could be the same person as well. Would you imagine that? Well, I wonder if there's any sort of smoking gun that might give us more evidence. And although faded, I'd like to point out these 1, 2, 3 facial markings that seem to match up with 1, 2, 3 facial markings. And, who do they belong to? Oh, Steve Irwin and John Denver. Now, supposedly, Steve Irwin, the crocodile hunter, met his demise as well in 2006 when he was stung by a stingray. I wonder if there's anyone out there that looks like the two of them these days. Maybe he took on a new role. And if you don't think he's part of the club, well, you're just a silly Billy denying knucklehead. Because if they're on TV, they're part of the club. And I don't know how many times I have to tell people that. People are getting mad at me that I did a video on The Chosen, and they're saying if we can't trust The Chosen, the guys that play Jesus, and they're doing a video on Jesus, who can we trust? Not the people on TV, people. It's time to wake up and figure that out. The TV is indoctrinating you to make you worship these people on TV. Stop it. Stop it. Wake up. Stop worshiping the TV. It's brainwashing you. It's time to figure it out. But of course, all this is for entertainment purposes, I'm sure.
Sometimes I didn't want to speak because I was going to get an earful on the phone for being a bad boy.
It's an act. That's an act. He's not a real person. Ozzy is as real as Mickey Mouse. I'm not joking. He's a character. He's a made-for-TV and made-for-the-stage character. He's not a real person. He's played by someone else, and they killed him off so the real person, who I'm going to show you who it is, doesn't have to play this bumbling buffoon anymore. He's not real. He's confused you. He's fooled you. He's made you think he is a real person. You see, the music industry isn't what you think it is. Not at all. It's not at all for entertainment. It's mind control. That's all these people are literal mind control agents. And it started back in the 60s with Laurel Canyon and the Doors and the Beatles. You can go research that, but I'm focused on Ozzy. Let me introduce you to Dana Strum. Dana Strum, who is part of the band Slaughter. And well, Dana and Ozzy just happen to share the exact same little chin dimple. Do you see that? And hey, when you put their faces together, that's a perfect match down here and up there. And well, I'm going to let Dana do some talking for me. This is a clip of Dana talking about when he met Ozzy.
So what do you play? You know, I mean, just what are you going to say? And he says, I'm not like auditioning. And I'm like, no, I mean, what do you play? Do you play the guitar? Do you play piano? Everything is in my head. I'm like, well, what do you mean by that? I'm like, do it. He's like, hey, if you're funny, yeah, I'm not auditioning for you. And I said, no, I mean, do it. And he's like, he did though. He's like, I won't do it. I'm like, oh, you did write all that, didn't you? That is you, isn't it? He's like, yes.
No, it truly saddens me that so many of you aren't going to see it because you are too enamored and too indoctrinated and too brainwashed into believing that he is what he is supposed to be, that you can't see how clear and obvious these are the same people, down to the exact hairline and shape of their face and even the exact same butt chins. It's just him acting like a bumbling buffoon. Clear as day. Just like Prince was just a character played by David Blaine and Cat Williams. Yes, both of them played that part. He's a character. He's not a real person. Stop feeling bad for the fact that he died because they just killed him off so Dana doesn't have to play that stupid role anymore. Dana? Ozzy. And why do they do it? Why? For the exact reason that I'm sitting here telling you, because they can capture your mind by creating false characters for you to worship, because the end goal for them is to hide God and to make you worship any and all individual people on the TV other than the Most High. But of course, all this for entertainment purposes. I'm sure that their faces line up perfectly with the exact same butt chin and lips, and he can do a perfect Ozzy imitation, just all for coincidence's sake.
I'm not like auditioning.
Songs I didn't want to speak it because I was going to get.
All for entertainment purposes, though. I don't really care about exposing all the pieces of human garbage that are satanic and run our society, especially on the TV. Nope, I don't really care about that at all. I just spend my time doing these to entertain you people. Entertainment only. Oh, and if you are someone in my comments talking about how I do this for clicks and likes and views, well, I got news for you. You're fighting for the wrong side. I literally quit my job because I didn't want to be part of the indoctrination centers that are public education centers. I lost most of my friends. My family thinks I'm a crazy person, and I did that all in the name of exposing the lies and the darkness to help people I don't even know. So if you're someone I don't even know and you're in the comments not supporting me, well, then you're part of the problem. Have you ever noticed how much Jeff Bezos looks like Kevin Spacey? And how Kevin Spacey isn't bald, but he sure plays a lot of bald parts. I mean, can you even tell which one isn't Kevin Spacey here? It's this one. And hey, Jeff Bezos, what's he known for again? Oh yes, sending rockets up to where? Space. And what was his last name again? Oh yeah, Spacey. And man, he's wearing a lot of blue. He seems to be known for wearing blue. What was the name of that rocket again? You know, the one that not Kevin Spacey sent to space? Oh, the Blue Origin. And hey, look, he's even wearing blue. And you see what the Blue Origin is shaped like, right? Kind of looks just like the rocket in Austin Powers. And hey, Kevin Spacey just happened to be in Austin Powers, the one where there was a rocket shaped like a...
Colonel, you better take a look at this radar.
What is it, son?
I don't know, sir, but it looks like a giant dick.
Yeah. Take a look out of starboard.
Oh my God, it looks like a huge...
Pecker! Oh, yeah. Wait, that's not a woodpecker. It looks like someone's...
Privates! We have reports of an unidentified flying object. It is a long, smooth shaft, complete with 2 balls. What is that?
Oh, and I just wanted to point out how he called 2 balls. Because everything in Hollywood is satanic. That's not how you do 2 balls in baseball. That's how you do 2 balls in baseball. Anyway, maybe that entire scene is mocking you with what they knew was coming. By you-know-who. By you-know-who dressed up and taking on the role of you-know-who. No, you're not seeing it. You still don't even see it when you see how symmetrical their faces are. Well, let me show you a smoking gun that you've never seen. You see, what you don't realize is that sometimes they take their significant others with them into these new roles that they play. This is Kevin Spacey's longtime girlfriend. And here's a closer look. Take particular notice to the gums. And here is Jeff Bezos' fiance or wife or girlfriend, or who gives a crap, to be honest. But here she is. And I'm sure you don't see it yet, even with the gums. How about now? Are you seeing it now? How those could be the same person, and those two people could be those two people? How about now? I mean, they didn't even try here. Their noses, a perfect match. It's a smoking gun without finding a smoking gun. Those are the same people. Just like these are the same people. And they mock you by rubbing it right in your face by having him as a bald character in so many different movies. You really think his name is just Spacey and he sends Blue Origin rockets to space? Well, he's not sending them anywhere. Space isn't real. There's water above us, but that's a story for another time. There's a firmament, and go watch the videos on that. And they mock you more just by blue and him wearing blue all the time. And to be honest, I didn't wear this on purpose. It just worked out that way. It's a synchronicity that the big guy throws down at me quite a bit. The big guy that they're all not a fan of. It doesn't mean rock on, and if you use it as a rock on, well, then they got you right where they want you. Believing that they're not the same person and that he's an organic person that just struck it rich and that it's not all completely fabricated to control your mind and to make you worship these morons instead of the Heavenly Father, because that's what it's all about. Get you to worship anyone and everyone but God. And not only that, but make you think God doesn't exist by making you think you evolved from an ape and you're spinning on a ball. And you've heard it all before. And if you haven't, well, watch more of my videos. But of course, all this for entertainment purposes. They're all part of the club. They all believe in duality, hence the black and white. And they all play multiple roles. All of them. Oh, and none of it is organic, especially not his Detroit origin story. And if you don't know who that is, his dual role, well, that's Toby Mac, who just happens to sing an awful lot about Jesus, because that would be the opposite of what he usually sings about, and talks about, and shows allegiance to. Well, and if so far you think I'm off my rocker, well, you just sit right back and enjoy the show. You see, until just a few days ago, I had no idea who Toby Mac was. But a subscriber of mine, whose messages I actually see, so if you're dying to show me something, subscribe, so I will see the message like they sent, how Toby Mac's son suspiciously died at 21. And well, he asked me to look into that, but immediately when I saw Toby Mac, I saw it, and I couldn't get past looking at him. I mean, I truly think I was just given a gift of facial recognition because, I mean, like, most people I don't think would see that. And I saw it, and I knew right away that it would line up perfectly. So perfectly that when I do my side-by-side, hey, that's funny, that's my dog in the background, I'm distracted. So perfectly that everything matches up. The mouth, the nose, the lips, the eyebrows, and I mean, look at those noses. Those noses are the same. Minus, there's probably a little bit of some, prosthetics on one, but for the most part, those are identical. And I'll be honest, if you can't tell that's a costume with a fake beard and prosthetics and makeup, you might have bigger issues. And well, most of that is his face, but like I said, beard and a little fake nose and makeup, but they didn't cover all the makeup. Do you see these here? Those two little dots? Well, I couldn't help but notice that it reminded me of those two little dots that maybe the makeup wouldn't cover all the way. And well, these guys are good, but it's always hard to hide your natural mannerisms. It really is. It really is. Because those mannerisms are who you truly are, no matter how good of an actor. But not all of you are going to see this. and that's okay. But I encourage you to leave it lingering in the back of your mind, because like I said, they all do it. And next time you see a performer that you think might just resemble another performer, ask yourself, is it really someone else? Or is it really just that person you think it resembles with a little bit of costume on? Has anyone out there other than myself noticed how Tucker Carlson resembles someone? You know, if you just change his hair a little bit and add a little length to that nose, well, all of a sudden, he becomes Michael Madsen. You know, Michael Madsen from the movie Kill Bill. Yeah, poor Michael Madsen just happened to die the day before that the Big Beautiful Bill was signed. You know, the Big Beautiful Bill that looks an awful lot like one of their favorite numbers when you just turn it slightly. And speaking of one of their favorite numbers, Michael Madsen, they love their repeated letters, especially the BB and the MM. You know why? Because MM looks an awful lot like another number when you just turn it sideways. 33, they love that 33. They tend to plaster their 33 in plain sight when they're mocking you. And how would they be mocking you, you ask? Well, Michael Madsen, 33, who died on July 3rd, the day before the Big Beautiful Bill. And you know who opposed that bill? Tucker Carlson. He happened to be very against it. Almost like he wanted to kill that bill. But I mean, Tucker and Michael Madsen couldn't possibly be the same person, right? They might resemble each other, but being the same person, that's preposterous. I mean, so they have the exact chin and pursed lips and angle of their nose and eye distance. It's not like their faces are perfectly symmetrical or anything. I mean, yeah, you know, like, okay, so maybe they are perfectly symmetrical down to those exact pursed lips, like I said. But I mean, look, when you fade in and out, you can see that their chins aren't identical. But I mean, if they were really the same person, they love to mock us. You know that. They put it right in our face. Kind of like, do you remember when I showed you how Bradley Cooper's mother was Martha? And Bradley Cooper, who is really Jonathan Brandis, played a role with the name Martha in a movie? It's them just toying with us. But then I also remembered her name. Her name was Martha. So I was like, how is Bradley Cooper related to a Martha at all? And well, Bradley Cooper is very chummy with Martha Stewart. And if I had to guess, I would say Martha is his real mother. And they were giving her a tribute to having him play the character named Martha. And you know what I think they were doing here when he was playing Kevin Buchanan? Tell me. I think they were giving Jonathan, a.k.a. Bradley Cooper, a little nod to his father. Remember Buchanan? Look at what I just happened to find. Martha Stewart posing with Theodore Buchanan. And when you look at the back of the picture, Martha Stewart's in this coat, blah, blah, blah. Theodore Buchanan, her husband. Martha Stewart was married to Theodore Buchanan. And Buchanan just happened to be his first role. But his biggest role, he was called Martha, a tribute to his mother. But there's more. Because not too long ago, I did a post talking about how Tanner Buchanan, there's that name again, looks exactly like Jonathan Brandis. Here's that post. And what I didn't realize at the time is that that's Bradley Cooper. That's Bradley Cooper, and that's Bradley Cooper's son, Tanner Buchanan. And I bet you'll never guess what role he wants to play next. He just happens to want to play Tom Buchanan in The Great Gatsby. So what was the point of all that? The point is that they give nods to their parents. And if they're not doing that, they're mocking you by giving names to their parents that would tell you the truth in plain sight. So as you watch them have the same mannerisms, I want you to think what Michael Madsen's father's name might be if they were going to give a nod to Tucker. Think about it. Think hard. I actually thought about it before I even looked it up. I knew what the name was going to be. Let's see if you're in tune with their mockery and their lies. Got it? What could his dad's name be? Let's take a look. Michael Madsen, who's MM, who could be 33 because they love their 33s, just happened to die the day before the big, beautiful Bill, and he was in Kill Bill, and his dad's name, drumroll please, is Carl. Carl Madsen. So you could say that Michael Madsen is Carl's son, or Carl's son, aka Tucker Carlson.
It's like I'm with the actual Jesus.
I'm not the actual Jesus.
Oh, he's not the actual Jesus, all right. Far from it. And I've blown this guy's cover before, but I'm going to continue to do it, because if you still look at him and worship him because he's playing the role of Jesus, well, I'm going to expose him like I've never exposed him before. Get ready. And if you don't know who this is Chris Cornell. I mean, Jonathan Rumi, the absolute fraud that plays Jesus in the show The Chosen. And if you don't agree with what I'm saying right now, keep watching, because by the end of it, you should. First, let's just start with his blatant symbolism here in the finger over the lips and the Masonic hand symbol, and he even says, if it's a symbol, to hell with it. And well, I'm going to show you the way he does a cross in a second. And if you don't know about these, it's simple. It literally means, shh, we have a secret, because secret societies run this place. And they're all in the know, and they know you're not, so they rub it in your face. They mock you. They mock you with their signs and their symbols. And they do it so blatantly that people just don't even notice it. But once your blinders are taken off and you notice it, you'll see. But what I want to do in this video is continue to prove that not only is he trying to lead you in the wrong direction, but again, he's not even who he says he is, because that's Chris Cornell, the supposedly dead singer of Soundgarden. And I'm going to get to them being the same person in a minute with loads and loads of evidence, but I want to continue to show you that he is leading you astray. Let's first just look at how he does the sign of the cross. That doesn't look like the normal sign of the cross to me. Usually it goes down to the navel. That looks more of like an upside down cross. Here's a normal sign of the cross. Head down to the navel and then up to the shoulder. So it's a cross. His very clearly looks like an upside down cross. And if you don't know what an upside down cross is, go look after this video. And it's clear that he's doing an upside down cross. And it's not just him, it's in his commercials too.
Hi, I'm your guide on Hallow, a prayer and meditation app to help you find peace and grow closer to God. Take a deep breath and focus your attention on God. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
Like I said, they don't even try to hide it. He literally tells people, I'm in a secret society. Watch.
Years ago, I was knighted by the order, the Sovereign Military Order of the Temple of Jerusalem. I lost my mind there for a second.
Knights Templar.
Essentially, the Knights Templar. Which
secret society.
God is telling this story, and we're just trying to find it.
Scully got a brother. Yeah, that's his brother, Maury.
Skull and Bones
And
is
Mary.
another secret society.
That's Mary there, Our Lady of Guadalupe.
And if it's not enough for you to see that he is literally in a secret society and he's doing all the symbols in the upside down cross, well, I'm going to again prove to you that he's not even who he says he is. Like I said, he's someone else completely different. And if you're someone seeing this video and you don't realize that Hollywood and the government and musicians fake deaths and then they come back as someone else, well, they do. And I'm going to show you that Jonathan Rumi was Chris Cornell. First, I'm going to just start with their faces. Watch how we just changed their hair a little bit. And watch, the lips don't even change. And all of a sudden, with just a little hair change and some eye color, you have Chris Cornell. They literally just do a little bit of cosmetic surgery to make him look different so he can pass for someone different, so they can fool you and have you worship him as the actor playing Jesus. And for those of you who say, well, if we can't trust the guy playing Jesus, who can we trust? Anyone that's not on TV. Anyone that's not on TV. You're better off trusting than the people on TV. And if that's not enough evidence of you seeing their faces morph and barely changing at all, he just gave me a little gift and showed me his teeth up close, Jonathan Rumi's teeth. And when you compare those teeth of Jonathan Rumi, literally giving me a close-up, to Chris Cornell, you can't deny that. They literally use dental records to identify people, and I'm using them to identify people. Look at the crossed front teeth, crossed front teeth. And this is literally from JonathanRumi.com, and I click on that picture. That's Jonathan Rumi. Let's take a closer look here. I put Chris Cornell up to this. This is who you're worshiping playing Jesus, and let's see if we can find some similarities between the two. Oh, on the forearm, there seems to be a very specific marking there on both exact spots of the exact forearm. And now let's look at their chest. Oh, just above his nipple area, we got a very obvious dot there and an obvious dot there. And now let's scroll over. Inside the armpit, we got a dot. What's that? Inside the armpit. Inside the armpit. Do you see what I'm showing here, guys? I don't speculate. I prove with research-backed evidence. That's who you're worshiping. And I don't care if you're a fan of Jonathan Rumi or a fan of Chris Cornell. You need to stop looking at any of these people. The musicians, people in Hollywood, the actors, the government officials. You need to stop looking at them with any sort of adoration at all. You need to look at them like they are lying to you in every single way possible. There is no such thing as someone in Hollywood or music industry or government that is organically there. They are put there. There are roles that they are playing to indoctrinate and brainwash you. And you're letting them, and not only that, you are doing it willfully and happily. Stop it. I beg of you. The king of pop or the king of deception? I'm going to let you decide, but I suggest you follow along because I have some pretty interesting information. Why don't we start at the end? Have you ever seen this video of the coroner's van that supposedly had Michael Jackson's body in it that didn't know it was being filmed? This guy thought he was going to capture them wheeling him out, and instead, he captured this. Now, I was very skeptical when I first saw this, so I had to do what I do, and I did my investigative work. 127602. Remember that number. So what I did is I went and I scoured the internet, and I found actual news footage of a helicopter filming the body of Michael Jackson going into a coroner's van. And you'll never guess what I found. Let's take a look at that number. Do we remember? 127602. And just in case your memory is not good, helicopter garage 127602. Now for me, this isn't enough to just automatically assume he's still alive, but when you keep digging, you'll see. This guy's name is Dave, and he is supposedly even a friend of Michael Jackson's. And have you ever heard him speak?
And there were all these Paul McCartney records all over this, The Girl Is Mine, and, you know, this and that. 13 solo albums, solo appearances on TV shows. And there were all these Paul McCartney records. But of course, you always feel things. I don't see Marlon next to me. I don't feel.
And is this next clip just them putting the truth right in plain sight?
I felt like he had like Michael Jackson's spirit in him, because there were times that he even sounded like him talking, and it would just kind of blow my mind.
And you may not realize it, but he wasn't just the king of pop, but the master of disguise.
Michael Jackson was not just the king of music. Michael, who also had a talent for disguises, was also the king in this regard. The master of disguise.
Like I said, I'm just showing you some evidence. You make your own decision. But before you make your final one, why don't you listen to what the surrogate mother to Michael Jackson's children also had to say.
In that time, they've gone on some very unusual outings, often with Michael in disguise.
Yeah, he'd call, what are you doing? Nothing, what are you doing? Want to go to the video? Yeah. You know, we'd sneak out without security. Got caught. I was like, God, this is like a Beatles film. We're getting chased by people. We'd have to call security and bail us out. But, yeah, we'd go out and do stuff.
Maybe Michael, like she said, just got sick of being chased around like he was the Beatles. And before I end this, I have a confession to make. I wouldn't listen to this man's music for 10 years in my car. I would turn it off immediately if it came on, because I was mind controlled by the TV. I watched one thing and I just assumed that this guy was an evil, disgusting man that did things with kids that I don't approve of. And what I realized once I woke up is that the TV controls your mind in more ways than you could ever imagine. I don't know what he really is, or where he really is, but I have my thoughts and my ideas. But my biggest thought and idea is I just want you to know this is all for entertainment purposes. Of course, Michael died of a tragic drug overdose and he's no longer with us. God rest his soul. So I was at the bookstore yesterday going down the biography section, and I couldn't help but notice two books. The one on Steve Jobs and the one on the lives of John Lennon. I wonder why they'd say the lives. And well, I started thinking about what I do and how a lot of these people who supposedly are no longer with us are still with us. And they just happen to give us clues all over the place, like having the exact same little nose frame here for Steve Jobs and John Lennon. And would you imagine that? Their face fits perfectly symmetrically, one side to the other and the other to the other. And well, Stevie Boy gives the signs of being part of the club here with his nice little Freemason hand symbol. But it's not just that. He was on the cover of Time magazine, and well, they just happened to have his little devil horns coming out his head. But do you know how much the first ever Apple computer was sold for? That's right, the first ever one of these sold by Steve Jobs, who I'm saying just happens to have some symmetrical proportions to John Lennon. Well, I bet you had never guessed that Steve Jobs' first Apple computer was sold for an amazing $666.66. Wow, what an amazing number. And remember, I said Steve Jobs, who happens to have very similar, in fact, exact proportions, even down to their little nose glass bridge. Just what a coincidence. What a coincidence, especially when we go to this next spot. This next spot where they tell us. They always tell us because they like to mock us, and well, it's part of not impacting our free will. If they just toss us up a softball, or an apple in this case, well then they say, we told you and you just are too dumb to figure it out. You're just too dumb to figure it out. And look at that. They even have their favorite little number there. 33 1/3. Side 3. I mean, it doesn't get more obvious that they're telling us something. The Beatles with an apple and Steve Jobs with his apple. Steve and John and Steve. And there's John again with his trusty little apple. And while we did Bearded Steve and Bearded John, I wonder what would happen if we tried something else, like Unbearded Steve Jobs and Unbearded John Lennon. I wonder if they would fit perfectly. Undoubtedly perfectly. But you know what I got coming now? Because while you probably think this whole thing is ridiculous, and no one that is ever considered to be deceased early is ever just really changing roles to someone else, well, I know different. And if you've seen enough of my videos, well, you know different. And, well, these look the same as those, and that looks the same as that, and there's even that one there and that one there. And why don't we see who they belong to? Oh, look at there. John Lennon. And Mr. Apple, Steve Jobs. But of course, it's all for entertainment purposes, I know. They're definitely not the same people. Definitely not. Entertainment only. What if I told you Hugh wasn't at all who you thought he was? And everything from his name, his place of birth, and even his accent are just a designed character to control your mind. And I'm not talking his Wolverine character. Oh no, I'm talking the character of Hugh Jackman himself. You see, just yesterday I had a follower send me Keith Whitley, and he wanted me to look him up because he thought he might be playing another country singer. But I couldn't help but see the resemblance in a certain Hugh Jackman. A real resemblance. And well, if you don't know who Keith Whitley is, it's okay. I didn't either. But here you go.
Jackie Keith Whitley was a country musician who rose to fame in the 1980s. However, his career was cut short and he died at only 33 years old.
What an interesting number to die at. 33. And you want to see something funny? He was born in Sandy Hook, Kentucky, and they marveled at his songs. Marveled at his songs. Marveled at his songs. And the funny thing about his age that he died at, yesterday it was 33, and then today the internet couldn't decide. Almost like they messed with the algorithm because they knew a video was coming. But let's get back to the main topic at hand here. Yeah, sure, people look alike, Tyler. I'm told that all the time. They look alike. People have doppelgangers. They do. That's true. But usually those doppelgangers don't have exact symmetry in their face across multiple different timelines and pictures and ages. And usually those doppelgangers don't play almost the exact same guitar and have wives that look identical to each other. But Tyler, Hugh was born in Australia. He has an Australian accent. How could they ever get rid of that?
Takes in Wolverine where you had to retake a scene because you felt your accent slipped in.
Yeah. The words I-G-H-I. So on the trailer it says, are you on the right side? And it sounds really, I had to redo it because I said right. Right is hard for me.
Oh, yeah. Right. How do you get rid of that accent? Did you study for years?
I have a dialect coach, and he gives me a sentence that I'll see if I can remember it. How many times have you asked Sam whether or not his daughter has congenital disorders or something like that? And I say that in my head before every day, before every take. And in that sentence is every difference in vowels or consonants or anything.
It's an amazing process to get rid of an accent like that, right? Yeah. I mean, it's tough. In a way, don't you wish you were born in America so that you wouldn't have to deal with that aspect of acting?
Completely. In fact, I did a movie called Australia, and I was like, hallelujah, this is so bizarre.
You could use your accent.
Yeah. At one point, someone said, oh, mate, that sounded a little bit American. I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me.
Maybe, just maybe, that dialect coach was to get rid of that Kentucky twang and teach him how to sound Australian just for interviews.
You're no stranger to the Grand Ole Opry stage or backstage. You performed here before, and you're here a lot of times with your beautiful wife, Lori, so this must be like a second home. It is, and it's really special to me because I grew up, the opera was so important to me growing up. My mom and dad were big opera fans, and if we couldn't pick up the opera on our radio in the house, we'd get out and drive around in the car and listen to it, So the opera has just been and I think this is probably the one place that I still really get nervous when I perform is at the Opry. There's just something about it, so much history and everything here. But even in spite of that, I always, anytime we can do the Opry, we look forward to it. And if I'm off and I'm not working, then I come over with Lori when she's doing it. So I'm kind of getting to be a regular around here.
Yeah, at one point someone said, oh, mate, that sounded a little bit American. I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me.
Just to add a little bit more to it, not that I need it. The first video I looked up of him on ShmooTube just happened to be 3 minutes and 33 seconds long. Would you imagine that? And well, I don't even think I need it in this one, but you know what I always come with. Now let's just see who they belong to. I bet none of you can guess. Oh, imagine that. Keith Whitley and Hugh Jackman. What a coincidence. What a outright crazy coincidence. Now, what I would like to strongly get across to all of you is that the reason I do this is, one, because they just come to me. It's a gift. But two, if you can see that they are lying about this well then maybe, just maybe, it will cause you to question everything that you think you believe to be truth. Maybe so much that you even question who and where we are. And ultimately, if you dig deep enough, what I hope you find is that you are a very special person in a very special place, created by a very special God. And I'm not talking any little g gods that these guys worship. I'm talking about the Heavenly Father.
The point to Wolverine is fallen angel and physical immortality.
If this doesn't unlock your mutation, then, well, nothing will.
No, it's a horror movie.
I've cured you, Wade. Now your mutated cells can heal anything.
And some of you may have never heard of a med bed.
Chamber, you put in a little depth.
So he's breathing 100% oxygen in a pressurized environment.
Technology right here, that's a plasma machine. You have 2,500 frequencies, rejuvenation.
Deadpool and Mutants mocks the pull of Siloam and 23andMe genetics.
They worship a different god, a little g god, a fallen angel god, and they tell us right in plain sight.
It was only a matter of time before Keith landed a recording contract. He signed with RCA, the label of one of his heroes, Elvis Presley.
If you still don't know who Elvis is, that number is a clue, because Elvis is Trump, is Lucifer.
Before the flood, people wanted to live forever, physically, carnally, doing evil, but they didn't deserve it instead of being reborn spiritually and accepting God. Seeking immortality in an imperfect world, people will seek death but will not find it. If you haven't seen it yet, go and see the other video that I have posted beforehand.